Nashville, Tennessee, country music capital of the world, home of the Grand Ole Opry, where singers and dreamers come seeking stardom. Join me as we learn about the lives and careers of those who built this town on Classic Country Backstories. Hello and welcome to Classic Country Backstories. I'm Colleen Gallagher. Today we are honored to talk with Leona Williams. Leona is one of the most talented singer-songwriters in the country music industry. I was blessed to sit down with our friend Leona and talk with her about her life and career. So sit down, relax, and watch as I talk with a true country legend, Leona Williams. She was born Leona Belle Helton, January 7th, 1943 in Vienna, Missouri. Leona was one of 12 children.
1, 2, 3. I was fourth from the youngest.
Your family was musical, were they not?
Yes, my daddy was an old-time fiddle player, and he was wonderful. Just a great player, great daddy to all 12 of us. And my mom, she could play piano like a church, or she could play clawhammer style banjo, you know.
Oh, wow.
And so we all just grew up playing music. I could play mandolin when I was 5 years old, and they call it seconding after my daddy playing fiddle. And anyways, grew up, then I went and started playing guitar and rhythm guitar, you know, and stuff. So I grew up on that good old-fashioned music like that. I love it. I still do. I sang all kinds of different places, and then this disc jockey from Jefferson City named Johnny Music at KWOS radio station there in Jefferson City, he was playing for a dance. He played electric mandolin, and they played dances, and one of my brothers was playing fiddle with him at the time, and he said, "Do you care if I get my sister up here to sing one?" And Johnny says, "Yeah, get her up here." So I got up there. I was just 15, you know, and I sang, and then when I got through, Johnny said, "Leona, why don't we get you some sponsors? We'll get you a radio show." So that's how that all happened, and I was 15, and we had sponsors, of course, from Vienna that, you know, helped sponsor me and stuff, and I just had Leona Sing was the name of the show, and just had it for a little while there. Yeah. It was on every Saturday.
So at that point, did you already think that you were going to be an entertainer? Is that what you wanted to do, or did that come later?
Well, I wanted to just sing. I was happy doing that. I never thought about how, you know, doing all this, but I loved the Grand Ole Opry, and I loved listening to it. And I even wrote, Howdy Forster was fiddle player. And so anyways, I wrote Howdy Forster a letter years ago, and you know, just keeping up with different things. And we had an old battery radio when growing up, you know. And I'm old, as Gene Shepherd used to say. I've done lots of stuff. But anyways, we listened to that old battery radio of the Grand Ole Opry many times. And that's all we had. Boy, I loved it. And then when I grew up and got down here to Nashville and got to go be on the Grand Ole Opry, that was so special. Roy Acuff, I was on there so much at the time, you know, with my first records and stuff. Roy Acuff thought I was a member already. You know? He said, "You get on down here and be on this Opry, all you can."
So when did the songwriting start?
Well, when I was just a kid, Wayne, my brother, and I, we wrote some little songs going to school, walking to school, you know, and stuff. And just, you know, thinking about songwriting way back then, you know. I grew up, and the first song, I guess, that I had recorded, Loretta Lynn. That's a long story, too. I'll tell you about that. But I grew up, and I went to, we moved to St. Louis area, and I went to beauty college, and I was a beautician for a while, and we started us a little band, my husband, my kids' daddy, and me, and we played different places around St. Louis, Missouri and stuff. And then we went to see Teddy and Doyle Wilburn one night, and they had Loretta with them. And she was the best. She jig danced and all that stuff. Oh my God, I loved it. And so later, of all things, we got to go out to eat with them and get acquainted with them and stuff. And so we booked some fair dates with Loretta Lynn, you know, our little band and Loretta. And she said she liked our band, and she said, if I ever make it, I'm going to help you kids. That was the sweetest thing of her to say that. And so later on, she called and she said, I've got you a house, and I'm starting my first band called the Blue Kentuckians, and I want you to move to Nashville. So, we were ready.
So what year was that?
That was 66.
66. So that's how you got here. That's how you moved to Nashville.
She's the one that got me to come here.
A lot of people don't realize you played bass guitar for her.
I played upright bass.
Yes.
I played upright bass, and my kid's dad, Ron, Sr., he played drums. And we had J. Lee Webb, her brother, playing lead guitar, and Jerry Murhar playing steel.
Wow.
We all traveled. We went everywhere together.
Isn't that great? So how long did you all do that?
About a year.
Wow.
Anyway, I got a record deal, and that was with Hickory Records.
Yes.
And I'll never forget what, out there at Hickory, what they said. They said, Wesley Rose said, I want to sign this girl. He said, he wanted to turn it down where it'd be like instead of 45 speed, he would turn it down to 33. He said, I want to sign her. When you turn it down like that, she sounds like Roy Acuff.
She recorded such hits as Once More and Yes Ma'am, He Found Me in a Honky Tonk. From there, she went on tour with the world's top country entertainers, making many performances on WSM's Grand Ole Opry.
I was on Hickory Records, and so I just signed and recorded my first record, waiting for it to come out. And Lonzo and Oscar from the Grand Ole Opry was fixing to go to overseas for 9 weeks in the Far East, during the Vietnam War.
Yes.
So I wanted to go so bad. They wanted me to go, so I said, let's go. So we got with them, and we went over there, and we spent 9 weeks in the Far East. We went all kinds of different places. We was in Vietnam and Thailand, Okinawa. We went to Korea. I'm just on and on, but while we was there, we were in Japan several days. And in Tokyo is where I first met up with Lester Flatt and Earl Scruggs. They were over there, and I thought that was wonderful, know.
Well, so what were those shows like? Was it, it was during the Vietnam War, so I'm sure it could be kind of scary at times.
Driving down the road, it would be scary. The driver we had was an American driver, but he was over there, and he was watching over us, and stuff. And then they wanted us to go down to Da Nang, and so they said there's some of these American soldier boys said, oh, please don't go there. They have so much trouble here and there, So I remember one place we were supposed to go to, I told Oscar, I said, I'm not going to go, Oscar. You go ahead, you can have all the money for this trip. I don't feel like I'm not going. He said, I'm not going either.
Well, that's good.
So we decided not to go on that one trip. I forget where it was to,
Well, as you know, our guitar player, Darren, his grandfather saw you over there, and you got to meet him.
I got to meet his grandpa, yes. And we talked about that, and when he was telling me about that, he cried.
Yes.
That was just so special. It made me cry.
Well, and you could see how important it was to those guys, what they were going through over there, to have that little time of a little relief, some entertainment, for what they did over there.
Yes.
So it
was special. I'm so thankful to God that we got out of there safe, and that I got to go there,
Yeah, and Lonzo and Oscar, I love.
Oh my goodness.
I love. Yes. Was it the original Lonzo and Oscar?
Yes.
That was before Dave Kirby came in.
Lonzo and Oscar, and the new Lonzo,
Dave Hooten?
It was Dave Hooten.
Yes. Yeah.
And Dave played with us some in St. Louis in a band we had.
Oh, yeah.
When we lived there.
Yeah. He's a great singer. He's a great singer.
He's like a brother to us, and stuff. But we all had a lot of fun.
That's awesome. And Lester Flatt and Earl Scruggs were there. That's amazing.
Got to meet them and stuff. That was my first time. And because when I was 16, I worked at a shoe factory in Dixon, Missouri.
Yeah.
And every morning at 5:45, we listed Lester Flatt and Earl Scruggs on WSM.
Well, You know, I always hear stories about how Nashville was a very male-dominated place back in the 60s. Did it work well for you? How were things?
I don't remember having any trouble at all. I just did my songs. If you like me, good. If you don't, that's fine too. You know, that's kind of the way I looked at it.
So you felt like you were pretty well able to do what you needed to do.
Sure.
To showcase
Don
yourself.
Gant was producing my records.
Who was it?
Don Gant.
Okay.
On Hickory Records, and we were very successful. We had a song called Once More, and we had I Want Some More of This, and we had this record that still gets a lot of play on XM radio and some of the real country music stations called Yes Ma'am, He Found Me in a Honky Tonk.
Great
and
song.
Stuff like that. It's you know, it's done good for me all over, but
Yeah.
I am been very lucky to have my songs recorded by a lot of different people, so I'm proud and thankful.
Absolutely. You and Ron Williams divorced. You have 3 children.
Yes, Ron Sr., my kid's dad. He was a wonderful singer. And so anyway, when we split up, he moved to Montana.
Okay.
And got married to a girl out there. As a matter of fact, her and her parents used to come to our shows.
Wow.
And real sweet family and everything. And so we've all stayed together, you know, all these years.
Yeah.
I met up with this guy.
And who was that guy?
They call him the Hag. Ronnie Reno he called me up one day and he said, Leona, Ronnie lived close to me in Hendersonville. And Ronnie said, I want you to know Merle is really a big fan of yours, and he sure would like to meet you. I said, okay, well, big fan of his too. I'd like to meet him, whatever. And so anyway, I drove down to a place in Nashville called Ireland's. And so there was all the Merle Haggard people sitting there. And I had just bought me a new red Cadillac, I remember. And I was proud of it and everything. So they were recording over at the studio here, so they rode with me. I drove. Ronnie and Merle and me rode over there to the studio where Merle was recording his album. And so he said, well, why don't you sit in here in the vocal booth with me? I need some confidence. And I thought, oh my gosh, you're a good singer. Why do you need me to be sitting in here, you know? So anyways, I sat in there with him, and he recorded a song called Where Have All the Hobos Gone? He was doing his train album.
Yeah.
So I've stepped up there to sing harmony with him, you know.
In the mid-1970s, Williams joined Merle Haggard's band, The Strangers. The harmony blend you all had, it was so good. It was so good.
Merle, you know, he's a good singer. I sang on Big City and a lot of his hits and, you know, and stuff. He's a wonderful singer, for sure.
Yes, absolutely.
Merle wanted me to open the shows. He called me after I'd met him that day. He called me 2 or 3 times a week saying, when can you come and work with us? You know, we need you to open the shows and stuff. And so I had to kind of reschedule what I had planned, you know, and stuff. And went out there and started traveling a little bit with them. And we went to Hawaii was one place we went to. Of course, I'd already been there several times before him.
Before him?
Yeah, with other shows, you know, and stuff, with my show, and package shows and stuff.
Yes.
So anyways, we was there, and we just wound up singing together, you know, and stuff. I could play rhythm guitar behind this fiddle playing too, so I knew them old tunes. So we had a lot of fun just playing fiddle tunes, you know.
In 1976, Leona recorded San Quentin's First Lady for MCA Records. This was the first album recorded by a female inside a prison. Well, I know one of the things that you did during that period with The Strangers is your album, The First Lady of San Quentin.
Yeah, Merle had the idea for that.
And it was live in the prison, correct? And it was a live album that was cut in.
Yeah, inside of San Quentin prison, yes.
So what was that experience like?
Well, Merle and his wife Bonnie, Bonnie Owens, Bonnie was, when I first got with Merle, Bonnie was dating Dean Holloway, the bus driver. So Bonnie and all of us were friends and stuff and everything, and so they had, Bonnie and Merle had written that song, so I learned it and everything, and so we worked it out where we'd go on a certain day and do this show. They call my album San Quentin's First Lady.
Yeah.
And I wrote a song called Prisons Aren't Only for Men. It's on the album, and I'm Just Here to Get My Baby Out of Jail, that little song, you know, that's always good that I liked. And I did Working Girl Blues, Merle's song, you know, changed a few lines in it for a girl to sing. I did that on there and some other songs, you know. But I was real proud of that, and I'm proud to get to be there with all that good band, Roy Nichols, Norm Hamlet, and all that great bunch of, you know, Biff Adams playing drums.
Yes.
It was a great fun.
I just saw something on Facebook where Norm is actually going out to California to do the Boxcar Festival, the Merle Boxcar Festival.
Yes.
I mean, he's been around for a while.
He sure has. Matter of fact, last year I worked the Illinois Steel Guitar Show, and they had Norm on the show.
Oh, wow.
And he played behind Ron and I, my son Ron.
That's great. And you got to work with him again.
Yes, I got to see Norm again. We just love Norm.
Leona and Merle Haggard were married in 1978. During this time, she wrote two of Merle Haggard's #1 hits, Someday When Things Are Good and You Take Me for Granted, along with other songs she wrote with Merle. Leona's distinctive voice can be heard doing background vocals on such Merle Haggard hits as The Way I Am, Roots of My Raisin, and Big City, among many others.
And Merle's out there. We got to have too much fun. We got married. That's right. And then I always say this all in fun too. I always say, yeah, they call Merle the Hag. I became one of Hag's nags. It was always funny. Me and Bonnie talked about that because Bonnie was when me and Merle got married, Bonnie was the bridesmaid, you know.
Isn't that
She was my bridesmaid. And so anyway, later on, Bonnie told the girl that wrote the book or something, she told Peggy, she says, Peggy, yeah, she said, I was a bridesmaid. She said, I would have given him away if Peggy had asked. I thought that was so funny.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
But Bonnie, she's right there, you know, sweet Bonnie. She's a sweet lady.
Yeah, she was to me, she was a lot of his, like the early days.
Yes.
His sound, he created that sound.
You ain't kidding. She was the one that helped him get going.
Yeah.
Singing on Swinging Doors.
Yeah. And she had been married to Buck Owens before that.
She was married to Buck, yes.
I saw a show. Well, it was the old Buck Owens show. Some of those old things show back up. And she was on there with Merle on the Buck Owens show. And I'm like, well, it all worked apparently. So
yeah, everything worked out.
Merle and Leona charted a top 10 hit with The Bull and the Beaver, rising up to the #8 position on the charts. Leona went on to record 2 more singles for Elektra Records, while Merle and Leona also teamed up to chart another duet titled We're Strangers Again. Did you guys record together quite a bit? You did an album.
We did a whole album, yes we did.
And did you all write together?
We did. Yeah. We wrote some together, yes. Yeah. Merle owned the publishing company. And I think sometimes he'd forget to put my name on there, but I was his wife, whatever, that's okay.
It always amazes me that you were recording and you were touring and you were raising 3 children at the time too. Yes. I mean, that had to be a challenge at times to do that. They've all turned out to be such great human beings as adults and very successful and done very well in their own right.
That's one thing I always put first was where my kids were going to be, because that is my life, my 3 children, and I took good care of them. Yeah. One thing I was special. I had the best mother ever, and I wanted to be good and be good to my kids like I was treated when I was growing up.
I mean, I have such a high regard for you for raising your kids the way you did, because I know it's not easy to beat the road and have kids.
I love my little kids and I love my grandkids now. Great grandkids.
I was going to say, you got
all them sweet little kids. We got to stand up for them.
Merle and Leona's marriage ended in 1983.
I was later on. I went on some shows with George Jones, and with traveling a little bit with them and on package shows with them and stuff. And then I, just kept working and stuff wherever I could, and just kept it going and put out a few albums, and CDs, whatever they call them these days. So I just tried to keep my career going, keep my family together, and just keep working and going.
Leona has had her songs recorded by some of the most iconic entertainers in the country music field, like George Jones, Connie Smith, Loretta Lynn, Mo Bandy, Randy Travis, Tammy Wynette, Gene Watson, Ray Price, Johnny Bush, Willie Nelson, and many, many others. She also teamed up with other entertainers to sing on their albums, such as Vince Gill, Gene Watson, Jimmy Martin, and George Jones. You've written a lot of songs for other people.
On Loretta's Get What You Got and Go is the name of the song that I wrote with Ron, my kids' dad, and it's on her Don't Come Home and Drinking album. Several of Merle songs, You Take It for Granted, Someday the Things Are Good. Had a top 10 record by sweet little Connie Smith called Dallas.
Oh, great song, great song. And you recorded with George Jones.
Yes, I did. I recorded a song we wrote called Best Friends. And it's on his album. He recorded an album called A Lady's Choice, and he's got all different girls on there singing with him. Yeah.
And I'm very proud to say I got to sing with you. We got to record together.
Yes, we did. We sung Bad Girl. That little song, that's cute. Yes, you did a good job.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that. It was so much fun to get to do that.
And you know what? I have a new CD out.
You do? Yeah, tell us about that.
Yes, it's called Duets. And anyways, I got all these different people. There's 24 songs on there. Duets I've done with different people.
That's awesome.
And you're on there.
I'm so proud when I saw that. I was so happy to be a part of it.
You did such a good job, and I'm so proud to get to sing with you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. It's always fun. We work together a fair amount. We get to do shows when we can.
Yes, when I need to carry a band somewhere, I always call y'all to come and you just play bass great and sing, and your husband on the drums. And
well, thank you so
can't
much.
beat that. I love it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. In 1985, Leona Williams married singer, songwriter, guitarist Dave Kirby. Kirby wrote such hits as There Ain't No Good Chain Gang for Johnny Cash and Waylon Jennings, Memories to Burn for Gene Watson, What Have You Got Planned for Tonight, Diana for Merle Haggard, and countless others. Dave Kirby also had a lucrative career as a session guitar player throughout the 70s and into the 80s. Leona and Dave toured together while Dave continued a heavy writing and session schedule. So let's talk about Dave Kirby a little bit.
Dave,
Yes. You've always talked to me about him, and I always wish I could have met him.
Oh, yeah.
Tell me about your relationship with Dave Kirby.
Well, I knew Dave and his wife, Icy. And Dave was a great songwriter, and he played on my records on wherever I was recording. He was a session musician and a songwriter, and he played, on all them records. And so he wrote Is Anybody Going to San Antonio, him and somebody, and together. And he wrote What Have You Got Planned Tonight, Diana for Merle.
Yes.
And just, lots of great songs that he's had and he's written. And he played guitar on a lot of them Dolly Parton records. And
oh, did he really?
Yes.
I did not know that.
Yes, he played on Dolly's records. And he's just been he's just very talented and a wonderful person.
Yes.
I was married to Dave right at 20 years. And Dave and his little wife, Icy, passed away, And it was so sad because me and her was real good friends. And, and so anyways, I knew Dave was a good soul,
Right. Yeah.
So anyway, we got married, and Dave, at that time, about a year or something after we were married, the music business seemed to be just slowing down and everything. So I had family and my brothers and stuff in Missouri, and my mom wasn't well. So anyway, we got to thinking about what to do. Let's go to Missouri, and then if you get sessions, you can come back for them, you know. So we came back a lot of times because me and Johnny Russell did a show together, the Troubadour here. And there's just little things like that we'd come back for his sessions, you know, and stuff. But we built us a house and all that up there in Missouri. Took good care of my mom and everything. And it was a wonderful, wonderful time up there for sure.
Dave Kirby was diagnosed with multi-myeloma cancer in March of 2004.
Dave passed away in '04.
He had cancer, right?
April of 17, '04.
Okay.
He had throat cancer.
Yeah.
And I had just had breast cancer at that time in 2001. I was one of the grand ladies in Branson. And anyways, but wasn't but about a year, then Dave started getting sore throat and all that. And looked in there and it was cancer. And he didn't last very long after that. He passed in '04.
Well, I am so grateful that you had him. And you guys had 20 years. I mean, I know that he made you laugh.
He did. He made you laugh. He could say more funny stuff.
After Kirby's passing, Leona resumed performing and traveling. For a period, she had a mentor and longtime friend, Ferlin Husky, on the road with her. It was rumored that their relationship was romantic, but Leona said they were just really good friends and that they were both good support for one another, both personally and professionally. Ferlin spent some time at Leona's home in Vienna, Missouri, and grew close to her family as well. Ferlin Husky died on March the 8th, 2011, at his daughter's home in Westmoreland, Tennessee, at the age of 85. In 2013, a section of Route 63 that runs through Leona's hometown of Vienna, Missouri, was dedicated as Leona Williams Highway.
And they named a highway after me. Going through Vienna, Missouri is Leona Williams Highway. I'm so proud of that. Yes, thanks to Missouri.
Well, you deserve it. You deserve that, you know.
Some of the people, some of the singers, songwriters, whatever's been through there, they stop, take a picture in front of that sign and then text it to me, you know.
Oh my God.
Billy Yates, you know, he's from Missouri, and he has his own highway.
Yep.
And so he stopped there, him and his son, and took a picture and sent it to me. I'm like, hey! Ron, my son, is such a good singer, you know, and he goes with me now everywhere, and I'm so proud of him. And he's got lots of fans out there, and so we hook up together and do our shows. I love that, you know.
And you all do such a great show together. It works so well.
It's just plain old country and stuff. And then I have a daughter named Kathy that she does the church music here in Tennessee at a church. And she's got a CD out, and she's a good little singer. She sings the harmonies like on my records. A lot of it, she's singing the high harmony parts, you know. She's got a gospel CD that's got Ron and me and her singing Family Bible, actually.
Wow. And then you have Brady.
And little Brady, he never was crazy about the music, you know. He loved it, but he's into cars, and he manages Tri-Lakes Ford, a Ford dealership in Branson. He's been there for a long time.
That's right. So we know where to go if we want to buy a car or a truck.
Go see Brady.
Go see Brady.
Matter of fact, I even wrote a song called like "Mama, I've Got to Go to Memphis."
Yes.
And it says, "Take care of little Brady while I'm gone."
Oh, that's precious.
I recorded it, and then Merle recorded it too.
Yeah.
We do a lot of steel guitar shows, you know, if they're having steel guitar shows. And like we have a friend in Mississippi that does one every year, and we go down there for that.
Well, and you've done some tours over in Ireland as well, too. I know a few years back we've done kind of the same circles over there, and it's always a lot of fun.
I love Ireland.
Yeah. Tony
Kerr is a wonderful singer, and I've done some duets with him. He's on my album, too.
Yeah, they're wonderful people over there.
Yes, wonderful people. Oh my gosh, I keep in touch with them. I'm texting with somebody about every day, you know.
Yeah, they love country music.
Yeah.
They love traditional country
Traditional country music, I love it.
Yeah, I love that, so.
I appreciate it, you know.
Well, now, where can people go to get your merchandise, your CDs?
You want to look at all my merchandise, and find out, pictures, see pictures, whatever, it's leonawilliams.com. Ron runs my website, so he puts everything on there.
And your tour dates and all this, if there's anything.
Yeah, there's tour dates and stuff, and then you can look on there and buy CDs or whatever.
Well, I'm so glad that you're still out there getting it and you're still sounding as great as ever, and I hope we get to continue doing a bunch of shows together and all that good stuff.
Well, several years went by whenever, I always loved the Grand Ole Opry.
Yeah.
And so this year I got to do a guest spot on the Grand Ole Opry not too long ago. And I just have to let them know when I'm going to be in town so I can get on the schedule. But so they just call me out of the blue. Of course I love Larry Gatlin.
Oh, yeah.
Gatlin, and Larry was out there. And I did the Grand Ole Opry, and I was real proud of that. I remember at the Ryman, I used to be on there like every weekend whenever I was back in the day when I first had out Once More, and I want some more of this, and Yes Ma'am and stuff, But I'd be on there like every time I was there on the weekend, I'd be on the Opry. Yes, and it was like home to me, and I loved all them people, And got to see Roy Acutt and Howie Forster and all that.
Oh, yeah. Well, and you've had such an amazing career, and you're still going, and you're still singing great. You still look great. I'm just grateful.
I'm thankful.
Yeah. And I'm grateful for our friendship and that we get to spend some time with you.
Same here.
Well, we love you very much.
Love you too.
Thank you so much for coming today.
Pleasure.
It's good to see you. We'll catch up with you down the road. You know that. So.
Okay, God bless.
Miss Leona Williams.
Leona is what country music entertainers would call the real deal. She's an amazing singer, songwriter, and entertainer. She's humble, honest, and kind. And that wraps up our journey through the incredible life and legacy of Leona Williams, a true queen of classic country. From her heartfelt songwriting to her powerful performances alongside Merle Haggard and beyond, Leona's music continues to echo through country music history. If you enjoyed this tribute, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more stories from the legends who shaped the soundtrack of our lives. And hey, let us know in the comments your favorite Leona Williams song or memory. Until next time, keep the music playing and never stop celebrating the voices that paved the way. Thanks for watching. Take care, God bless, and I'll see you later.